Sensitivity analysis as a tool for capital budgeting. So capital budgeting is also known as investment appraisal, defined as the process a business undertakes to evaluate potential major projects or investments. The main goal of capital budgeting is to identify projects that produce more cash flow than the cost of the investment. An example would be a business wanting to build a new plant or buy an already existing plant. They would look into how long it would take to break even with either choice, as well as what the ROI they would receive with both choices. The hurdle rate is the minimum rate of return to justify making the investment. Just like individuals, when making a new purchase or investment, companies need to know that the money they are investing will have a return that is worth not having the cash on hand for a better opportunity. Sensitivity analysis, also known as the what-if analysis, is an analysis method that is used to changing the assumptions or estimates in a calculation to see the impact on the project's finance. It's also used to identify the inputs which have the biggest impact on the return of investment. With sensitivity analysis, you can change inputs in order to reach the desirable output. Another way to look at sensitivity analysis, or the what-if analysis, is imagine you want a six-pack abs. The input would be your diet, specifically the exact foods you're eating, and the output would be the result on your body, with all other data being the same. If you were to eat chicken, rice, and veggies every day for the next 12 months, the output would be a six-pack abs. On the other hand, if you were to eat sweets, cakes, and donuts for the same amount of time, the output would be the exact opposite, and you would gain body fat. The what-if analysis also helps judge the degree of risk. Steps in a sensitivity analysis. First, you define the base case output, then determine the new output value. Third, you calculate the change, and fourth, calculating the sensitivity. So the first step is to set a base case output for the case input. For example, using the minimum level of return for an investment as the base output, then determining the input needed to be able to reach that base input. Second step is determining the new output value. Changing the value of your input will change the value output as long as all other variables stay the same. You can change different levels of input in order to calculate risk and ROI. Third, calculating the change, meaning you find the percent of changes in output as well as the percent of change in input. And last is calculating sensitivity. To do this, you divide the percent change in output by the percent change in input. Risk involved. So you have risk-adjusted discount rate and a certainty equivalent approach. Project risk can be incorporated into capital budgeting by using the risk-adjusted discount rate. This method allows for different discount rates to be different risk levels. Using the method, the company would require a high rate of return for a riskier investment. The certainty equivalent approach is when a firm is willing to accept a lower but certain return now instead of a higher but much riskier return in the future. Outcomes are based on assumptions and historic data for which leave room for error. Some advantages and disadvantages. Advantages would be lead to more reliable predictions, help decision makers identify the best projects or investments, shows how responsive the output is to change in specific values, and in-depth analysis on variables and their behavior. Some disadvantages would be outcomes are assumptions based along with historical data, making them susceptible to being incorrect. It does not allow firms to analyze the interaction and correlation between the variables.